Now we're going. Going? Now we're going.
We're
live.
live.
Yes. Welcome everybody at home. So as always, I'm going to introduce everyone for the first minute because that's how long it takes anyone to notice a live feed is running. So that way nobody watches me. And then when you are watching, you get to watch the much more interesting Tarletta and Angela for our guests. So I'm Michael Whitehouse. I am the chairman and founder of Conference21, which you'll see here on the virtual wall behind me. Two of our speakers in May are Tarletta and Angela Heath. And so let me bring up so actually the deadline to apply to be a speaker, if you watch this and you're like, I have something to share, is the 15th. That is 2 days from now. That's Thursday. So you can go to speaker.conference21.com. And if you go after the 15th, you're applying for August, which is also going to be a great event. So you can do that as well. And so that is that. Also, if you like motivation in the morning, might I suggest my daily motivational podcast, morningmotivation.fun. It is free. It shows up in your email every morning and gets you fired up at morningmotivation.fun. Okay, enough about me. We have people watching. Let's go to our much more exciting guests. We'll go clockwise around the screen. So basically, you're going to introduce yourself, and then we're going to go to your topics, and then we'll discuss those and see where they take us. So, Tarletta, tell the fine folks at home about yourself.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Tarletta. Most people call me TJ, but I figured being professional might help with LinkedIn. I have my company is Black Dragon Marketing, and we do just about everything that works with a computer, digital screen, cell phone to deal with your customers, whether it's communicating with them, creating a way to do that, marketing plans, marketing strategies. And today, my topic is mostly going to be focused around building your marketing plan. A lot of people kind of come to me and they kind of just know what they want me to do for them, but they don't always know why. And then when we get into the kind of the details, we figure out why what they've been doing doesn't work. And so we try to get them to have an idea before they pay me, which is a good thing typically, before we start putting money into stuff, how to actually make it make sense and know what they're trying to get out of me.
And I should also mention that if you look, did I get the right way? I went the wrong way. If you look behind me, you'll logo, because Tarletta is also designing the new Conference21 website for us. So conference21.online, which I guess is live. I was like, I think it's ready. At some point, conference21.com will point to it. But most of the speakers are up there. And you can learn a lot about Conference21 by going to Conference21 online. And Tarletta's the one who made it. So, all right. And Angela, tell us about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. Thank you, Michael, for the invite. So I'm Angela Heath. My company is TKC Incorporated. I am also the Dean of the Virtual Speaking Academy. And basically, as of COVID, I have been focusing more helping business builders, entrepreneurs learn how to use speaking to build their business. So I do everything from helping you show up and show out when you're in the virtual world, look good, sound good, and how to monetize all of these opportunities that are out there for us. I also focus on mature experts, people who really know how to do what they do, but they may not be getting enough shine. And when I use that word, I mean being seen, heard, inspired, and noticed because they are experts. And so I help them with that, putting their brand out there, their brilliance out there, because we know the more you are seen, heard, and noticed, the more you become a thought leader. And what? Thought leaders always earn more. Angela Heath with TKC Incorporated.
All right. And actually, let's go back into that shine and dive on into the importance of shine in the marketplace, which is you're going to be leading us off with your topic.
I mean, it's critically important. I mean, everybody out there listening, you all know of a person who's brilliant. They can do what they do so well, but they're not getting the promotion, the customers, the opportunities. It's because they're not shining in the marketplace or the workplace. You have to be seen, heard, and noticed. That is how you advance. Whether you want a new job or you're building a new business, it doesn't matter. You have to be out there. So one of the things that we've been helping a lot of entrepreneurs with lately is how to do virtual events that shine. Virtual events are more than just the event itself. There's a strategy before and there's a strategy after. And if you don't understand that, if you don't capitalize on the relationships that you're building, then you're losing a lot of possibilities. And then a big thing right now, Michael and viewers, is Clubhouse. So we have a club on Clubhouse called Shine, Get Noticed. And we're helping entrepreneurs to do everything from practicing their elevator pitches to looking at what are the tools of getting seen, heard, and noticed, the summits, the virtual events, the books, and how do you do all of those things and how do you maximize your effort with them. So Shine is critical. Shine will bring you customers. Shine will increase your partnership. And ultimately, Shine will help you earn more revenue.
I like the sound of that. Sounds great.
Yeah. So what are some things you'd recommend to people who are feeling their way out in this virtual world? And of course, it looks like this virtual thing's not going away. Once we discover the internet. Well, once we discover the internet, we're probably going to stay on it for a while. I mean, I'm not stopping Conference21. So what do you recommend to people who are kind of wading out into this, but not quite getting their shine to get shiny?
To get shiny,
get shiny. I love it.
The very first thing you need to do is make sure you're trying to shine from your core. And I'm sure everybody's seen this. People who are out there, they've learned a few buzzwords. Their coach told them they could be anything. And you can, but become it first. Line it up with the core of who you are. Have something inside of you to back up that promise. Because if you don't, eventually you're found out. So that's the first step, is to be someone who you say you are. The next step, I have this very simple framework for thought leadership. You become someone, you be, then you do. That's the subject matter expert. That's the trap. Subject matter experts typically make more money than people who are not subject matter experts. However, if you stay there, if you refuse to shine, you will be there. You will not get the accolades. You will not get as many promotions. You will not get as many customers. So when you be, you do, the next logical step is to say something that's different from what everybody else is saying. You need to be an expert who looks all throughout the whole ecosystem and figure it out. You say something, it means you can teach something. And we all know you only teach if you really know your stuff. And then you can
We hope. I'm going to trust you.
You're right. And that's the problem. So many people don't have that framework and they have it inverted. Yeah. And they are starting with what they say, the keywords, the copywriting, and they don't have who they are to back it up. But that's the first thing. You got to be centered, grounded, know your stuff. That's the very first step.
Like I've always told people, like when I would go through it, it was always, most people have heard before, fake it till you make it. So, you kind of just, you do the show, you do the saying and you put the words out there, you buy the nice little suit. And, you pretend to be what you are. And so the one that I use most often is learn it till you earn it. So I'm always learning something.
But see, the fake it till you make it, there are times when you may not be polished. You're not quite a lump of coal. You've had some rough edges off, but you're just not sparkling as much as you will. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have to start somewhere. But what I'm talking about is when people learn to be totally fake from who they are. And that is happening a lot out there.
I kid you not. I remember I was on Facebook, and this is maybe about 2-3 years ago, and I was just getting into marketing. And I was like looking at different people. No, Facebook follows you all over the internet and shows you stuff on your timeline. And there was this one guy, I ended up going to his free podcast or series on how to create this thing. And I legit remember it said, tell people it's worth this amount of money and that the special price is this price. And I was like, that don't make no sense. It was like, we need to increase, demand. So you have to tell them that it's expensive, even if it's not. And then you tell them that they can have all of it for this little thing over here. And so now I get my clients with me and they want to build packages and bundles because I do consulting as well with other businesses. And I tell them, okay, so you're telling me this is valued at $3,652. Where is it at? Like, where's the hours? Where's the worksheet? Where's the course? Where's the time, the content? How did you get to $63.52? If you can tell me it's worth that and you still want to sell it for $199, then I'm straight. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
We can sit back and we can tell them it's a deal all day long. But if you're telling me that you just put this thing together, and I tell people, like, it's okay to include time costs. I tell people, like, you're paying for the 10 years I spent learning this, not for the 10 minutes it took me to do it. So if it took you 10 years to do it, okay, cool. $6,000 works. You learned it, took 6 years. Anybody else had to do it for 6 years? Good. All right, we great. But if you just found a PDF on Google and decided to add a spin to it, and now you know that somebody else sold it for this much amount of money, and now you want to do the same thing, we ain't flying with that one.
Right. You got to be authentic. I mean,
it's very important.
Yeah. Well, and one challenge is figuring out where your core is. What part of my exploration over the last year has been figuring out, because I kind of initially went straight to business coaching because that seemed to be where the money was. People want business coaching, and because I've been coaching people for years, but not business coaching. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think I'm really more of a personal coach, life coach, relationship coach. I've failed far more relationships than businesses. I should say been in far more relationships than businesses. Nah, still doesn't sound better. Anyway, I have a lot of experience in that field. So but kind of a human side of it. But I realize, and of course, I look at other people and be like, why is that person faking it? And then I look in the mirror eventually and say, maybe that's me too. But I didn't realize
the way we're taught by a lot of people now, it really is about the keywords, because everything focuses on the keywords, and copywriters are worth their weight in gold, but they can make it so much when it's not that serious. And I find that to be, it's almost borderline, and it may be completely lying. And we want to be business people of integrity. We don't want to step over that line. We don't even want to get right up on the line, like 1 foot over here, over there, right?
Yep.
We want to be people of integrity. We want to deliver more value to our customers. I always try to give more. I want you to be able to go tell somebody, oh, she said she would do A and B, but she gave me all of this extra time. She gave me this extra whatever she did. So that they tell the next, because it's easier to have your customers be evangelists than to go find another customer.
Yep,
definitely. So I see. I go through that a lot with my website clients, because I'll ask them. Like you said, it's easier when you are what you say you are. Because I've had customers come to me with absolutely no background whatsoever in whatever they're selling. Somebody told them that they could be a coach, typically, or that they could take this knowledge that they have from 20 years of this job and go out and just tell the world, and somebody's going to pay this person thousands of dollars to grace the stage with absolutely no experience whatsoever doing so. And they're like, yeah, I want to do this thing. All right. So what makes you special? Like, what's your thing? What's your area? What makes this what you want to do with your life? Right. Oh, nothing. Just other people are doing it. I got the experience. And so I figured I'd be a good fit to, grace the stage. All right. And typically I have a nobody cares attitude. Like I said, so what's your why? And most people don't know how to answer that question. I just talked to Angelus actually from Conference21. He and I actually really cool now about people trying to explain what their why is. And most people don't know. It's usually monetarily involved or some kind of status issue. And it's more personal than that. I always tell them it's either a personal trauma or a personal triumph. And triumph looks different to everybody. It is not success. It is just a triumph. My why is nap times. Beautiful why.
That is so why. I love that. Yes. I never get a chance to get a nap. I always intend to.
Look, I used to plan
I must after naps.
Look, that I planned my nap time. It was a block on my schedule. You were not getting through to me. Phones on do not disturb. That was my why. I wake up to do what I do by myself, so I can move my appointments when I feel like it. I can have a Netflix binge day, and I can take naps. That is my why.
That's good. So, Michael, do you take naps?
I do take naps. I don't schedule them in. Although, actually, that is something I started doing to control my schedule more, because I get through the week. And of course, I've been kind of feeling out of business. So I'm effectively working, 3 or 4 businesses and be like, well, maybe it's this one. Okay, let's push this one along. Let's push this one along. And so my schedule will fill to however much space I gave it. And I started blocking out an hour for lunch in the middle of the day. And so it had been, I'd block out an hour, but I need as fast as I can, then get right back to work. Right. And I finally said, I'm going to actually block an hour and take an hour. Yeah. I'll often watch an episode of Babylon 5 or take a nap. And
I'm a Flash person. I watch The Flash.
Yep. And what I found is when I after that hour, now, so instead of the usual, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like, okay, because I've been running 8, which then causes the sugar drop, and then back to work. Instead, I get back to it, and I'm more ready to get back into it. So I don't have this dead time afternoon. It's actually, I can get more done by working less. By watching a 45-minute TV show in the middle of the day, I can get more done during that day, which is
like the very first book I wrote was time management, and it was qualifying your time instead of quantifying it. Because we typically spend a lot of time saying we're going to spend 15 minutes over here, I'm going to spend 30 minutes over there. This should take me this long, and I'll be able to finish it, and I'll go to that thing. And for being as structured as I was while I'm employed, like, people can clock my day. Like, I can tell you from beginning to end, my kids are still up because I had to put them down early. But like I said, I wake up at 6. They're daycare by 6:30. I'm back home by 7. I shower, make a smoothie, do yoga. I'm out by 8. I get off at 4:45. I pick them up. We're home by 5:45. There's dinner by 6:15. There's bath. There's bed at 7:15. I clean until 8 o'clock. I work on my stuff until 9 o'clock. I watch an episode of The Flash until 10 o'clock, and then I get 8 hours of sleep every night. That is my schedule.
That's good.
That if I decided, I'm really like into this website thing, or I'm into this client's project, and I really want to finish this section of this book, and I work straight through to 10 o'clock, I can't go to sleep till 2 a.m. Like, my brain will not shut off. Like, I've had days where I'd wake up at 4 a.m. thinking about apps. Like, I could build an app for that. It's like, why am I awake right now? Like, my brain just says, so I have to have that.
It's interesting because I'm one of these people, like, when I was younger, I used to do a lot of all-nighters because I might start writing at 11 and I might do an all-nighter, right? But now I find that I've been doing a few all-nighters, but it really doesn't feel as good now as it did back in the old days. But Michael, I want to ask you a question because you raised something for me that I think we should discuss. You said you've got like 3 or 4 balls juggling, with different business concepts because you're testing what's going to pop.
Right.
The biggest, the fastest. And that is a great strategy if you can pull it off, because we were talking about the fact that people often don't know what their why is, but people often can't figure out what their what is. And the reason that I like working with like more mature experts is because they do usually have a great set of skills and interests and accomplishments and things that I can just craft together and check out in the market the same way that you do. Test it, pull it back, refine it, pull it back, keep testing and refining. But the bad thing about folks, and Tarletta, you're not that old, but you are one of those people too. You can do a whole lot of things. Whenever you do a lot, I call them 10 talent people. Whenever you're a 10 talent person, the hardest thing for you is to focus on one path until you are successful. That's the hardest thing.
It's typically, like I can say, so I prefer multi-passionate creatives.
Okay, that's a nice way to put it.
But like I think Michael and I spoke before the first Conference 21 about like there's anybody who knows me, there's always something going on. It's never just one thing. Typically, I said my very squirrel, yes, my very first business was my tutoring company, and I was very happy with that. When I was able to more than double my rate in 3 years, living very comfortably, and then I had to move 5 hours away, and that wasn't so easy with a 1-year-old. And so then I started working at the tax office. But I can tell you, even like now today, just this weekend alone, I think so. This weekend, I end the tax season. On Friday, I'm filming with a friend of mine for a video that he's doing. Yes, Bubby. Okay,
And
you gotta
kids.
watch this until it's finished. Yes, and kids. And then I have my digital marketing agency, which as I'm growing Black Dragon Marketing, I love it very much. I am currently studying for a data analyst and engineering certification with Google to be a registered Google partner. I'm also in a feature film, so I film on Saturday as well. I'm interviewing nannies this weekend for good reason.
That's money well spent.
And then I literally have a friend of mine who is my sound like Eddie. He's like, what? It's like, I need a mind map. I need you to come over for like an hour, and we need to like get everything out of my head. And then I have this Rocket book that I love very, very much.
Right.
And what I do is I have a cloud account where if I have an idea, I just write it down and send it to the cloud and let it go until I can get to the folder that just says idea folder. Because there's a lot of stuff in there that I ain't started yet either.
But that's great because I'm an idea person too. I mean, I feel like if I sit with a problem long enough, and I just peek all around it, I can come up with some options for it. And that's really good. But again, at some point, not unless you got unbounded energy, you're going to have to start to focus. I don't do it, but I actually like it. I think it's the best way to do it is really to try to, you got your hands in a few pots at the same time. There's a lot of pivoting going on right now because even me, I had to pivot. I didn't have to. I chose to pivot when COVID hit because people start asking me to do what I know how to do, but I never thought to sell it. I was only doing it for my own business. And then when COVID hit, everybody said, oh my goodness, you do like the foundational digital stuff. You help salespeople to make their pitches online. I've been doing this stuff for years. I didn't start when COVID started, but it was a new line of business for me. I trained trainers like 20 years ago, right? So I pulled all of that into today, looked at the market, and I had convergence. And I tell customers all the time, if you can get your skill set, your passion, and the market to align, that's convergence, and go for it. Put a test out there, shape it, put it back out, bring it in, shape it a little more, put it back out. But all three of those are needed because you need the skill set to be able to do whatever it is you claim you're going to do. You need the passion to keep you going when what you thought was going to happen doesn't happen. And you need the market to buy whatever it is you're going to sell.
Yep.
That's the perfect time to test something.
It is actually. So that was actually part of my speech today was like building your marketing plan, but more so some of the mistakes a lot of people make when they come to me with this thing they want to do and no idea what success looks like. I'm like, so how are we going to monitor if I did my job right? Like, because obviously, as a marketing person, typically if you're hiring me, you don't have an in-home marketer to tell you what's supposed to happen or what your audience likes. And so I'm pretty much stepping in blind. So can you tell me what success looks like for your businesses? Is there a certain conversion rate, a certain number of people you're looking for? Is there a new audience you're trying to reach out to? Are we just testing something out there? And a lot of them just really don't know. They're like, they have no idea. It's like, okay, well, what's happening now? And so we try to find out, again, where your customers are, because most people don't know. They assume they're talking to this person, but it's like, no, from the way that sounds to me, this is just my opinion, you're talking to this person. Oh, well, I want to talk to that person. Wrong words. That's not what's happening. Because it also gets into when they start running ads, and I think earlier we talked about a little bit about people making the investments and the growth. Of course, having your hand in a lot of different places means your money might also go in a few different places. Right, but when it comes to marketing your business, having that alignment with your passion, your skill set in the marketplace is very, very important, and not spending a lot of money. It's the best way to save money. Right. Because a lot of people like, I want to run ads. Are you sure about that? Because if you don't know your audience, you're going to put out a very blanket ad. And it's going to get a bunch of impressions. And it might convert a few people, but you have no idea they're the right people. You have no idea who clicked on it or why they clicked on it, or if they're the people you wanted to click on it. And now you're not getting any sales. So you spent all this money on a bunch of impressions and a few conversions, but nobody bought anything because they just want to know who you were because it came across and it looked pretty. Right. That means I did my job because they clicked. But if they don't convert, you're going to tell me that I did it wrong. Let's be honest. It was my fault.
So what do people?
Consultant's fault.
So what do people need to do when they're creating their marketing plan?
And so when they're creating a marketing plan, again, so first you need to have a living document. And that is to say, you know exactly who you're trying to talk to, and it needs to be malleable. Because a lot of times you hear those keywords, your target audience, your target customer, personas, et cetera, et cetera. All of that's great, but that's all after the fact. You need to know, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is who we want to talk to. This is how we're going to talk to them. There are literally 22 different marketing channels. That's different ways to reach people. And my customers look at me kind of funny when I tell them, you don't have to be on Facebook.
Right. It depends on who your target market is.
You don't. Like, there's a bunch of people there, and you're going to reach the most people, the most amount in the world other than being on Google. But if your business is painting or hardware, you typically don't need to be on Facebook. That's not the community that you're quite looking for right now. Because everybody's like, I want to run ads. I want to do this. I want to do that. But that's not how that happens. And to kind of tie in your marketing plan to what Angela was saying earlier, you have to know who you are and know what you're selling and why it's important and have that match happen. Because I always tell people, if you haven't sold anything yet, I can't sell it for you. I can make it look as pretty as I wanted to make it. I can add the words and the keywords and people will click on it. But they're going to know a fake. They're going to know that, okay, this just looks like, stuff, generic stuff I've seen a couple of times in other places. And I don't know every industry. I don't pretend to know. I can do research to my lungs are blue. But if you can't sell 2 of them, I'm not going to sell you 100. It's typically not going to work that way. You still have to do the work.
Do you find, Tarletta, that people are resistant to doing research? Because I find people are very resistant to taking the time to do the research so that they're giving it their best shot, as opposed to they want to just go out and just
Like, I have a bunch of customers that
corner, let me pull them in,
No. It's not so much that they don't want to do the research.
You're talking about me like I'm not here.
They've done is extremely limited. And it's like, okay, so as a marketer, yes, I'm young. I accept this. Get over it, all of us. I'm telling you that what you want to do right now, so I want to do this ad. I want to do this type of thing with my business. All right. That's not going to work with your audience. Based on what we know, research we've done, is not going to work. Well, my friend said that they would do it. Well, your friends also agreed not to pay you. You've known them for 10 years. They didn't buy one. All right. And then okay, what's your target market? Because let's say they're my age, about 30 years old. And so your target market, they may be a little bit older. So let's say they're 45. Their target market is about 35 to 65. Just want to make it wide. And I'm like, okay, so we need to narrow that down. Because how you speak to a 35-year-old and how you speak to a 65-year-old will be very different language. Very different approaches, very different advertising types. So we find, I have friends of all ages and they all like what I have to do. That's great. Not what I'm asking for right now. And then what I find when it comes to research is that they believe that because they thought it must be awesome. Like, I've seen it, I've done it, this is my thing, this is how I want to do it. Like, but if that's the case, you wouldn't have come to me in the first place because you'd be there.
Right. And you know, that's like really funny because I heard somebody, like, you can't compare 30-year avatar to 65. I mean, it's just like no comparison. But I heard somebody say, well, can't you just say, like, you know, if they are not 60, like they're the same as like me? And this person was like 35. And I said, that's not probably the best way of looking at it.
So the best way I use birthday cake. I use birthday cake as my example for age. And it doesn't matter what you're selling. Anything from food to software to hardware to TV shows, I use cake. Typically, when we're younger, give me all the cake. All the cake, all the time. I want the cake. Cake, cake, cake. Yay, yay, yay. All the cake. Excited, excited. And then as we get older, it's like, you know, okay, I might take some cake every once in a while. This looks nice over there. You know, I'll come across it. I might use it, you know. And then as we get older, simply, I don't want to use that no more. Or you have people who grew up inverted, where they hated cake as a kid and they grew up and they acquired a taste. And when it comes to marketing, your market is very similar. And that goes along with the customer's journey. So first, becoming aware they have a problem, deciding they want to make a change, and then finding a way to satisfy that need. That is a very basic customer journey. And it's like, you have to know where you fit. It's great that your friends who already know you and love you because you love this thing, believe in this thing. It's kind of why you're friends, at least in a small way. They accept that you love this thing. The market isn't the same. And like I said earlier, it's kind of like, if you can't sell 2, I can't sell 1,000. Whereas like, if you haven't been able to find 2 people to buy it, I don't know who you're selling to either.
Well, this is the other thing about our friends. You know, our friends, a lot of times, especially if you're talking to friends who aren't in business, they don't have any concept of anything. They love you. You're passionate about it. They're like, go. But like you said, if they haven't bought anything, then I can't believe what they said. You know, everything I come up with, my family tells me is brilliant. Everything. They said, this is brilliant.
That sounds amazing.
But they are not my target market at all. So I love it, you know, because there are different people who help us with different things, right? So my family helps me to stay encouraged, you know, and motivated, and you need those people in your corner. But then it's like the people who buy are the ones who say, I like part A, but part B needs
this is not.
Yeah.
There's more over here.
Business. The people who are going to or have already shelled out the money.
So once we get them to open to the idea of testing, it's how to test. And so like, okay, so typically I work with baby entrepreneurs. These are just brand new starting out people. They have this fire and this passion, and they're ready to go do something. And I'm like, okay, so you can ask Facebook to do a poll, but the only people who are going to respond are those who know you and see it. And Facebook can tell you that no matter how much you post, unless you have a consistent audience, more than likely, no more than 7 people are seeing your posts on a daily basis, unless you're active. And if you are active, they have to be active with you. It's usually a little harder if you've been socially separated while you built your business. And so it's like getting them open to the idea of how to find their audience, what to say, what to do, how to get out there without jumping to paying for stuff. Right. Like I would always tell people, I would say grow with the marketplace, grow with it. So again, if you can sell the first 2, then you buy business cards. You do not need a business card to sell whatever you're selling. Right. Don't buy anything until you sell one first. Right. And then after you bought the business cards and you get another sale, okay, you've upgraded to paying for a brochure or something. Right. But I always tell people, like, I never spent any money my business had not made. Whether it was building my website or going to a conference or anything I was doing. It's like, I'm going to bootstrap this thing until $1 comes out of it. Right. Once that happens, we have a different type of investment strategy. Because a lot of people, they believe that the more money, like, you can't buy marketing. it doesn't work that way. You can't buy an audience. Not going to work. You can buy the materials to find your audience, but most people don't understand that when they're paying for ads that are, just a wide array of people, you're not going to find what you're looking for, because you want sales. Typically, you're not looking for awareness. It's very rare to run a high.
And there's a difference
budget ad.
between followers and customers. That's important for people to know on social media.
Very.
I know people who have literally like a few thousand followers, but the followers aren't buying. They're not buying at all, like 0.002% or something like that.
I've seen those. I think Michael and I had the conversation with a couple of the speakers from Conference21 who had like high clicks on their URL or on their ads, but there were absolutely no conversions. And the big part about testing is that you don't know why that didn't happen. We know what happened. They clicked on the link, they went to this page, they decided not to buy. And so I talked to my customers about different ways of identifying why that happened. So was it that the page they went to didn't look good? Was it not relevant to the ad they saw? Was it that they just didn't know what they were looking at? They just kind of looked at, or they clicked on it by mistake. They were there for less than a second and then backed out of it. Was the person why they were going there and they just didn't see them so there's different reasons why, and you have to test for that. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you can't find it. To figure out, okay, so this ad went to this page and they left. The same ad went to this other page and they stayed. Okay, we're gonna go to the other page. But I run into a lot of clients who've gone to these business coaches who watch these webinars on Facebook or Instagram or wherever they find them, that, hey, running ads is the way to build your business. And I'm like, they never tell you how many years and how many thousands of dollars they spent A/B testing the look of the page, the format of the page. They can do the same page like literally 50 different ways and run an ad for hundreds of people. I know one company, one group that I'm in right now, they say to start with $5 an hour and then build it from there. But then they also tell you that their current Facebook budget is $750 a day. I can't do that.
Well, you know what? It's interesting too, like with Facebook. I think Facebook used to be more valuable than it is right now. It still is valuable, but then because it used to be much cheaper to buy a lead, because you're really buying leads on Facebook. But now it's getting more expensive to get a lead. And someone said this to me. I was really shocked by it. They said that if you are spending $1 million a month on Facebook, you're considered a very small customer. And I said, in that case, I must be like a non-existent customer.
So the Facebook algorithm and the Instagram algorithm, they change very often. Yeah. But since COVID hit, I tell people that Facebook went to a friends and family focus. So business pages are already being shysted when it comes to being on the timeline. Unless the group is active and you've actively participated, it's very unlikely that you'll be like, I don't see posts from all of my groups on my feed. I might see the same group 5 times, but I won't see all of them. Same thing goes for friends and family. I have businesses where, even like they run ads and they get like 1,000 impressions or whatever. But then, if they run a regular post, it's like 7.
Right.
Even though people like the ad, Facebook stopped showing the other piece. And so that's why Facebook is more about the organic traffic than the paid traffic if you're a small business. Otherwise, you won't get the engagement you need to let Facebook know. Facebook is not Google. Google does a much better job of retargeting people back to your stuff. Facebook just wants to make sure that they'll tell you, okay, well, if you create this ad, you want people who are going to click on it? Do you want people that are going to like it? Do you want people that are going to share it? Or do you want people that are going to comment? And then Facebook's going to look for people that might match your criteria who are most likely to do those things. And so your pot gets smaller and smaller and smaller a lot faster than you realize. When you say, okay, well, I want people who are going to go to my website. Okay, well, Facebook doesn't really care what they do once they get there. According to Facebook, they converted. They went to the website. It's your job now to sell them and make sure they went to the right page on your website, or that what you showed them was relevant to what they wanted.
So,
so
Michael, I feel like we took over your show. Did you have?
Oh no. No,
I'm sorry. Is there something in
let me check the link. It says we should talk about this. Yep, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're totally fine.
I'm on here 2 hours a week, so it's you guys who are coming to see us.
But no, I would tell people, like, when it comes to targeting your campaign, you have to realize that while different platforms have minimums, like I know for Facebook, you can do as little as I think $3 a day or $1 a day, but it has to be $10 for the campaign or something like that. LinkedIn is $100 minimum just to get on the platform to have a section for your ad. Google requires at least.
How are LinkedIn ads converting? Because I've heard different things about LinkedIn. How are they converting?
So LinkedIn is the same as Facebook, only for high performance people. Well, typically high performance people. People on LinkedIn are less likely to click an ad than they are on Facebook, because typically they already know they're being sold. Because we're all professionals, whether it's business to business. Like I know when I get a message in my inbox, like, hey, you're one of my 500 friends. I'm looking to get to know them. Can we schedule 15 minutes to talk a minute? What you selling? What you got? Sure, let's talk for 15 minutes. I don't mind. And then I sit through the sales pitch and I'm like, this is great. Okay, great. I don't want to do that. Thank you, though. I look at it
although I will point out, that is how we met. Was that I was trying to pitch you.
Uh-huh.
You were trying to sell her, Michael?
Yeah. She was a cold prospect. And that's why I'll give half an hour to anyone who will actually have a conversation, because I never know, yes, the conversation may start with they've got a product they want to sell me, but who knows what else there is. Now, some people are just one-trick ponies and they're not worth talking to. And, the people are like, oh, yeah, I want to set up an appointment with my associate. I'm like, yeah, no. You're not a real person.
Yeah, those are I love.
I don't mind.
The VA tunnel. That's what it is. I'm sorry, Angela.
That's okay.
The VA tunnel. That's been such a big thing right now, and I'm just like, the VA you're hiring has no idea what a qualified candidate looks like. They can find leads all day long. Like, I think I've been asked to do a couple of different Facebook group interviews or this thing or that thing. Usually Facebook is where I find most of those bots. And I'm just like, I don't even know what this guy does. He doesn't know what I do, because he hasn't met me. He didn't even see my page. You saw my page. You're his virtual assistant in India who has no idea what I do, other than he says, I want business owners. Go find me business owners. He has no idea what I want to talk about for an hour on this interview. He has none at all.
Yeah, those are awkward.
But yeah,
I've been doing less advertising, and I've been doing more like organic kinds of things. Like I do, a lot of partnerships and a lot of virtual events, to get seen, heard, and noticed. And they're converting pretty good, because not only, like, for me, it's like you're spending your time on a particular app or whatever, but you're meeting some folks that even if whatever you're doing the first time doesn't convert real well, you can plan future things. Mm-hmm. And it's always great. I always say your network determines your net worth, because we cannot do this thing by ourselves. We have to help each other. And that's something that solopreneurs and micro-sized businesses, there's some people say, well, Angela, I'm too shy. Well, I used to be shy at one point, but I'm not shy anymore, because if you're going to be in business, now, if you're in a service-based business, and a service-based business where your person is a part of the business, you cannot afford to be shy. You've got to face those fears and get yourself out there and network with people, and don't be afraid to tell people what you do, and partner and educate people, and just do all of those things.
Yeah, actually I had a recent customer, and we're going through her marketing plan, and we're creating her brand. She had no branding done at the moment. She needed a new logo, new voice, new tone, new everything. And so we had to ask her, okay, so for your social media, did you plan on being the face of your company? Because her name was not included in her company name. Or did you want your company to run outside of you? So where they knew you were the owner, that you worked here, but the company is the company. And as far as they know, you got a manufacturing plant somewhere.
Right.
And we ended up actually butting heads a little bit because she wanted the brand to reflect her and her personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally get it. Most of my businesses do reflect me in some way, shape, or form. They either have they have my tone or they have my face. I'm gonna be somewhere. I said, well, change that. I think 2 of the 5 that I have my tone on my face. The other ones I kind of cut myself out of so that they could run if I decided to hire somebody else to keep going and do all their wonderful good stuff. It was like, well, if you're going to be the face of your company, there are different things you have to do.
Right.
Then if you're going to say, okay, well, it's just a company run by these people and we provide this service.
Right.
But yeah, it's totally possible. You have to be prepared for that. And even then you have to tell people you exist. It's not possible. Like, I have a friend of mine, he also owns a marketing agency, and we'll talk all the time. And he'll ask me what I'm working on. Like, I'm working on this new app thing. It's like, I've never heard of it. They've got bad marketing. I guess, like, awareness is everything. If they don't know you exist, they can't buy your stuff. And like I said, you can pay me all you want to, but if you're selling a business that has you as the main person and they can't know who you are, then it's not going to work.
Yeah. And then, I always tell people too, like, if you want to at some point sell your business, make a lot of money off of it, it's better not to put yourself out there, because then people assume that the reason a business is successful is because of your personality, your shine, your whatever, right? And so if you're trying to sell it, they can't buy you. Now, they can buy you for like a year or 2 because you can, sign a contract and help them. But
transition.
You need to step back a little bit. But I work with people who their primary thing is not necessarily to get the nap in, but it is the time. Their primary thing is they want to do something they love to do, and they want to be able to manage their time. And so if you don't want, when I first started my first business, I wanted to grow a huge consulting firm. That was my goal. But then I got pregnant. And when I saw that little beautiful face, I said, I don't want that anymore. That's too much work. And I only have 1 child. I said, I am not going to be, doing this for all of these folks and come home and my child's running around and I missed all of the first steps. So that made me kind of change what my goal is. So I tell people now, if you want a lifestyle business, one that it is going to afford you the kind of life you want to live, then I can help you. But if you want to grow, the next TikTok or whatever, more power to you. I'm not the one.
I ain't your person.
Yeah.
But I think, so I actually had a very similar story with my 1-year-old. I had just started my tutoring company actually. But I tell people that I continued to be an entrepreneur after he was born. Because I wanted to be the type of mom I wanted to be. Like, I want to be able to be there when I wanted to be there. I didn't want to have to explain to my boss why I had to leave or why I can't come to work because he's got a fever, or why I don't want to send them to daycare because they're germ infested or whatever. Like, my kids have gone to daycare. They just started actually in January, and it is the creepiest thing to me. Like, I don't know how people do that regularly, but it's nice to have the time back. But it's like, I wanted to be the kind of mom that I wanted to be. And so it's like, we're going to have to make this work some kind of way, but that's what's going to have to happen. But I think I do like what you said earlier, again, about qualifying who you work with, because I went to another one of those webinars where they told you that, you have to tell everybody that we don't work with everybody, but the answer is always yes. Like, that makes no sense. Like, I know for a fact, I want to work with you. And I think I had a conversation earlier this week. I asked a vendor a very simple question about IT something. And he goes into, well, it really depends on this thing and this thing. Say, sir, I asked you a yes or a no question. What is the answer to my question? And he's like, well, it really depends. Okay, so I don't want to work with you no more. I don't want to do it. That's going to be a headache. We shall find a vendor for this service. Done.
Well, and along those lines, so I'm making my new landing page, and for my coaching, and I realized that one of the key things with coaching is that it's a relationship. So you don't just want to take anyone as a coach, because you want people you can work with, and that
Right.
you know, someone that when it shows up on the calendar, be like, oh, I got to go talk to Susie. You know, be like, oh God, Susie. Well, she pays on time, so you know, you want people that you can really that you can get excited about working with. And so the landing page I made, there's no place on it to buy. You can always schedule a complimentary coaching session.
Mhm.
So, you know, you can't call me up and be like, I got my credit card, I want to hire you. Well, we can talk first. And then if I like you and you like me, then I will take your money. But when I first started working on this, I landed in that community of the, you know, sell, the landing pages that went to the, you know, $14.97 marked down to $3.97 that Tarletta was talking about earlier. And like I got the impression like that's how it's done. And so that's like, oh, well, that's how it's done. I mean, I don't really like it, but I guess that's what works. So I'm going to do that. And I realized, and of course, this is one of those things I learned, you know, as I'm developing myself as a coach and training and learning different ideas like limiting beliefs. Because I wasn't able to get clients for a while. You know, at first I was getting them like gangbusters, no problem. And then I wasn't. And I'm like, what happened? I don't know. I focused on the conference and whatever. And finally, like, you know, I should probably be able to get clients for my coaching business. That would probably help. And I realized it's because I still had that image of what it was, and I didn't want to do it. So when I try to market it, when I try to do that, it just wouldn't happen. You know, hit the gas and nothing. The car's not even neutral. Hit the gas and nothing happens. And when I actually sat down and journaled it, I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna sit down and write. I'm just gonna, you know, write with my fingers. And at the end of the journal entry I wrote is like, and now I'm gonna go make a website, because I realized like, oh, I know how to do this. I'm not missing the strategy. And I don't want to do the thing that's in my head, but once I worked out what I did want to do, I didn't want to be the person who's selling I love the, you know, we're going to teach you how to make a 7-figure business by designing courses that you're going to sell to coaches to teach them how to make a 7-figure business. And that's
the thing too. That's the thing too. You know, it's what is your promise? What is your real promise?
Yes.
So I have a guarantee. I said, I will never let you fail. So if you get in a training course and say it's 6 weeks, if you can say, look, Angela, I did a majority of the work, you know, that was assigned. You don't have to do all of it, because we never do. Most of us never even finish. But if you've done some work, I will continue to help you until you succeed or quit. Because I don't ever want you to feel like, you know, it's always the coach's fault. It's always the consultant.
I gave you my money. You're supposed to do this thing here.
You're supposed to.
Like, did you do the thing I told you to do last week?
So if they don't know, then they're looking at you. So, you know, integrity for me is like really important. And sometimes, honestly, I do know that I have clients who actually take advantage of that. But that's what my brand says. So when you have a real strong sense of integrity, quality, stand behind my products, there are people who will gain this, and you need to know that will happen, and just be good with it. Because there are other people who will appreciate what you're bringing to the table, and they will buy one training, and then they'll buy the, you know, next training, and they'll stay with you for a length of time, because you're a person who delivers what you talk about.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I can definitely say I've met a lot of clients who are just like, you know, I don't care what you do it. Because they do start to buy you. They do start to know that you are, when you say something, you're going to do it. They want to know that. They want to know that, okay, I gave you my money, and even if it doesn't come out exactly the way it's supposed to come out, that you stood by what you said you would do. Because I also be like, I'm considered a challenger coach. Then you have your counselors, your cheerleaders, your challengers, and then you're just your typical coaches. And I'm a challenger. So I'll say, okay, so before I even take a client, I'd say, okay, I need you to read this chapter of this book. I'm going to send you a PDF. When you read it, let me know what you got. And if they never come back, I never reach back out again. It's like, they'll come back like 3 months later. So what about this thing? Did you read the book yet? Nah. I was like, well, that's where we are. That's kind of how that works. Like, you have to put the work. get it out. And like Angela said, building up all of that knowledge and being able to, like, again, Michael, having the loop-de-loop, the infinite loop of service that sells the same service, it becomes like, okay, so what makes me different? What makes mine stand out? Because if you're selling what the next guy is selling and you're teaching them the same way to sell it,
right,
you're probably selling to the same people. And so it's not going to be the best. And so it's just like, you really want to make it, you have to help yourself stand out. And a lot of coaches always say, create your own lane, be the one person, create your own industry or your own category. And that's the way that you sell. And as cheesy as it sounds, I agree with that 90% of the time.
Yep. So speaking of learning to be a better coach, I actually have a course to be on at 8:00. So in our last minute or so, let's just quickly, I want you to each quickly touch on what you'll be talking about at Conference 21 in May. And I'm pretty sure you're both coming back in May, right? I know, Tarletta, I know you are. And Angela, you are as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So Angela, what will you be sharing with us in May at Conference 21?
In May, I am going to be talking about authority and what are the steps that you can do to increase your authority. Some of these strategies that I use got me named one of the, I think it was 100 women to watch in 2021 by Thought Leaders 360. And it's because of Shine. It's because I'm seen and heard and noticed, but I'm very particular about where, and I'm very particular about what. And so I'm going to be talking to people at the next conference about authority. How do you build authority? What are the blocks that you need to put in place? How do you do a virtual event, and what's the strategy with it? So it does all of the above. It helps you earn some revenue, establish those relationships, get some raving fans. You only need one. The story of one raving fan for me made me $310,000. So you only need one. But when you have that authority, it's easier to find that one.
All right. I'm going to make this quick, Michael, and then you got to go in like less than 60 seconds.
We're not going to go.
So we're going to be talking about pretty much just your marketing, using your marketing analytics. So your dashboard, whatever it is, bounce rates, what referrals, social media, actually getting those numbers, making sense of them so you can make sales later to identify your audience. All right. Easy done.
Nice.
Michael,
all right. Well,
I will see you guys both.
This has been awesome. So my favorite part of running this conference is getting to meet with my awesome speakers now twice a week. Now they're doing Tuesdays and Fridays. So this is amazing. Thank you so much. I could totally keep talking to you for another hour. So thank you both so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Michael.
Have a wonderful night.
Nice to see you again, Tarletta. See you soon.